drawing the image with kind of like a deep perspective. What students want me to do. So I was still start with outline of the whole outline for the whole thing. And you see the whole image inside. Okay. You see the image. You feel, oh, you can, I would compare her ears. You see this line like this. I see this kind of. I also see the button, the facial bone. It looks like a triangle. Yeah, you see this spot, the chain part, chain. You see this kind of. Yeah. Very easy to be ignored. I think some students did this photo before, and I said this part is bigger, and he or she, I think, keep on looking at the photo, but I didn't see that because it's very easy to be ignored. It's in the shade. Yeah. So, there, of course, yeah, yeah, this part is important. Somehow, like this kind of perspective, or I think the phone maybe a little bit to this side. Yeah, I have more here, but it's not included inside of the phone. So somehow like this kind of pose, I would like to start with the neck. And somehow the neck is more important. Part of the portrait, and it's more important role in the work. So with that, I would compare the size of the neck and the head. So I draw this neck a little big, it's very small. There's something to do with this muscle is the trapezius on the back side. And this shape that will be short. I will keep it like this. Maybe later I will finish the head part. I will decide if this is a shorter one or bigger one. I feel comfortable with this shape, but if I measure on my photo, I feel this is the bigger than the photo. So maybe this one is up. So the neck pit will be here. Probably will be here. This is a thing. The clavicle will go this way. Because this photo is something like look up. So the clavicle looks very flat, because the camera look shooting from downside. So this part looks very flat. And the distance from the clavicle up to the neck, this part is pretty short, right? This is pretty short. So also because of the perspective status. Finish this. And try to work on the first part. And of course, the most important beginning is to find the angle, you know, line, the tendency line from the middle of the eyebrow to the chin. Although it's so short and so wide, you still need to find it because sometimes you feel like it's so obvious. It should be like that. You won't miss because when you actually draw, you'll miss it. Then you will work on the proportion for features. Because of the perspective status, to look at this, it looks very weird, right? And this is normal. So you need to estimate. I would estimate the button of the features, maybe the mouth, the teeth, the mouth. So you see, this is pretty big and more short because it's foreshortening. So let's see, especially the nose is extremely short, right? Maybe upset our sense. So the nose looks extremely short, and we only see the bottom part of the nose. But the top part of the nose becomes so short. Although it's so light, but it's pretty short. Very short. Actually, the eyebrow is a little bit like that. So this line I draw eye level is mostly the top lid of the eyelid. So I draw the lower lid of the eye here. And see like it's very weird. It's even lower than the tip of the nose. So the nose tip is here, and lower eyelid even lower than this, right? This is doesn't make sense, huh? Yeah. So see that this line is lower than this. So eye. Yeah, we look from bottom, but does not mean eye is small. The width of eye is still pretty big. Still pretty big. She has big eyes. So don't draw. Feel like so narrow and then make it so short and everything became too small. So actually, the eye is still pretty big. So the width is the same. So and actually the beginning line of that, actually we see the forehead become very short. Actually, it's about the line for the starting line for the hair. So the hair will be there. So I feel like the nose could occupy a little lower. And the nose, two sides of the wings a little more lower. A little more. This part is still so it looks like a ball. So this one. Sometimes we also can check this shape. Check this shape to see if it's accurate, and then you can find because it's not a symmetrical. This side wider, it's shorter because this side the face is a bigger face. So then we draw the mouth. Actually, the top lid of the lip of the mouth is bigger. And also we see this shape. Yeah, many shapes under the perspective will not follow with our common sense. So we have to use our eye to discover everything by the observation way, not giving it a conclusion, a judgment too early. We needed to give everything new, everything a new idea. Yeah. Everything is a new idea through our discover again. Draw points. Actually, there's a curve like this. The camera a little bit distorted. This part is more bigger. The method is okay. And the process looks okay. Here is a way lower. Somehow the ear could be considered as a landmark. This situation helps us to find the catch of the shape or the style of the face. Side of the face. Enjoy this ear. You also can align with the middle to see where is it. So I put it here. The camera shaking. My feeling is correct. I feel like this is not very short, it's longer. So, is fun. And sometimes in this situation, I like to do some shading on it. It helps me to find the shape, take advantage of big area shape to check the shaping. So the length is yeah. Actually, the neck pit is longer. So clavicle is here. So this is wrong, right? This was wrong. So, so so, so this is correct. So yeah, at the beginning you'll find like maybe here if you measure this, not even I'm sure this is. You're not very sure if it's correct. It helps you to check the negative space. Negative space the pattern of the shadow correct or not. That helps. It's easier for you to find the shape here. So this and this have a little bit of angle. This one a little more steep. Thin. You can see this. Shadow for the face. Yeah, it also helps with the shaping. You see the eyebrow here, and you see the sometimes in this step you can use the shape, the shadow to check with the shaping. So see this shape correct. So this shape. Okay, then you can find. I used the eraser. Find the core line, shadow helps me to find the shape correct. I remember once I did a similar deep perspective work. That one I focus on drawing the features more quick. So maybe that is the opportunity to teach you to draw with more easy handling way of the shaping. So this is the one good for me, better for me. So can we draw this shape? So yeah, this pattern of the shadow is very helpful to find the shape. So yeah, it's good to compare each other. So actually, we check the shape with two kind of method. One is based on the logic, like perspective logic, like structural logic, like yeah, like symmetrical logic. It's logic. Another way is use different patterns. For example, like combine things together to get a big block of the shape, to get the pattern. See that shape and the pattern. Also, you can check this light part pattern. Compare with your model or your photo. Look at this pattern. You see it looks like that. Look at this kind of pattern. You can see this. So that's why this kind of method is good to easier to find the shape based on good progress. This is a good progress. And now I can erase this, not use it. Some mistake one. Just need to confirm. Now the shape is small, right? So I think the camera a little bit low. So move up here, find it more accurate. maybe this is the better. So, okay. So after this, now I started to work on details. I always keep my camera because of the block on my view. So I'm starting with this eye. Because this eye is in the shade. It's in the shade. So not so much. You don't have to, when you see some detail in the shade, not really clear. You don't have to draw it very clear. You just keep the same kind of clearness as you see. So, but from this kind of view, you can see the thickness of the eyelid. So you always needed to remember you needed to include the thickness of everything, not a single line. Many people draw features, they just draw the line like a cartoon. So that's not so accurate. So also have some highlights for the eyeball, but don't make it too light because it's like a light inside the shadow. So don't have to be very obvious. It is. When I draw this, I need to compare the shape of the nose. I think, oh, you need to tend to be draw too small. You know why? Because this part is a very compressed shape. It's very easy to feel like it's very small. However, like I said, the width and the size is not actually shrink so much. So you needed to keep a certain yeah, the width of that object. So yeah, I make it a little bit wider. Yeah, now I work on the nose because it's really, really close by. So I would do this earlier than that because it's really close by. Draw. Here it's very subtle. You cannot see so much, but it's more clear of this core of the shadow. So like this is the core of the shadow. This is the tip of the nose. You can make it more contrasted. Most of the situation you may be afraid to make it contrasted because you feel like the nose shouldn't be so black, right? But actually it is dark. So you need to make it dark and contrasted. So it can pop out. If you failed to do this contrasted, people won't feel like it's a pop out. It just feel like it's short. So you see here is very contrasted. A little bit hesitated to do it too dark because it's a demonstration. So I need to have some later process to complete. So you see, when we draw this hole, you can see this side more contrasted, and this side with more transmission. And here a little more contrasted, and this part more transmission. You need always switch from clearance to unclear. So you need to be very smart and sensitive about this different tunes. So okay, so after finish the nose, I'm working on this side as an eyebrow. So yeah, even you just keep on working based on the shape. considered accurate, and we still need to always check on the shape. Mistake always happen when you get loose. So still check the shape. Still look at another eyes to check the shape. So that would be most careful. So and we draw this part, and you see the whole draw me the shape. What the feeling? It's not a totally round shape, but a little bit triangular. And see that. And also you need to compare with another one. And this one a little bit bigger. Then you see that. So you need to catch all of this very, very small details. You need to pretty sensitive about it to draw. And the eyebrow, you need to consider it's like a sphere. So basically, although you see this is white, however, on this situation, this part is inside in the shadow. So it's a little bit gray. And this side more light because it's more like under the light. See that? So even you draw the eyelid, it is still like wrapping around the sphere. So still you can see the light and the dark. You always needed to alert of that. The fault under the so this is the sometimes when I draw this side, I will check this. If that really appear each other. A little bit eyebrow. The camera looks more darker. Shading for this part. So complete this part. So sometimes I hit it. So look at this shape together. We can also check. Okay, so then I work on the mouth. So look at the button of the top lip. And it's not a totally just a red. You can see this part is more transmission. And here more folded, so it's more contrasted. And you need to see always see this detail. And also here more transmission. So switch more clear, clear, unclear, unclear, clear. So always switching the clearance. So this is a shape of a curved line. Okay. And I draw the lower lid. You see here, there's lots of transmission. On top is pretty light, and then here little gray. And this side a little more clear, right? So always need to switch the different clearance. And then here, dark, dark. Here's the chain. This part. The top part of the chin. It's light, but compared with the highlight, it's a little bit gray. So I make a little bit of gray because compared with the highlight part, it's a little bit gray. You need to draw it. It's a little bit curved line to see this kind of situation. Yeah, this part is pretty bony. So I'm working on the jaw part. We check this line. Check this line. It's a softer. Here, this part is a reflected light. It's very soft, but when you do the shading, you need to keep it a little bit light so you can feel like the reflection. Now I will show you for all of these. Yeah, need some good skill of the hatching, so you can keep on adding different layers of the shading and also use the hatching to describe the structure details. We need some practice lots of practice to get some skill. So when you have good skill of that, your work is more efficient and accurate. This part is a pretty structural, right? You can see that details and the side is darker. A little bit lighting up. So this part like the cylinders core area, and you see the details and also the transmission from light to dark. This is neck pit. So this part is the foot of the muscle. You remember this? The muscle is the sternal cladle muscle. This is the foot for the sternum bone. This is another foot, the muscle is on the mastoid clavicle. So see that the downside go to the backside of the ear. It's process. So I will. But this time I don't have to do it very muscular because especially for a woman, it's very sensitive, very soft, very soft. Don't do it too much of theirs. You know this is a muscle. I do this here because it needs some contrast from here to the neck. So I do this. Not just for hair, it's more about the neck. I work on this ear. Ear part. See actually the thickness of the. I feel like I draw it too low. Move up a little bit. Compared to this part, this ear, this part is a bit higher, but it's the shoulder is just big. So a little bit up. But it's still very short because of perspective. It's pretty short. And there are lots of shadow of the hair on the ear. So make it a little bit better match. Photo realistic. Look at that. You don't have too much focus on this. It's very much side. So, the bottom part of the ear, this part is some thickness. But you can see that you're looking up. Right? Yeah, photo you can see a shadow here, but I will not do it too much here because unless I do more detail of the hair, I will do the shadow of the hair. But otherwise, if the hair is not that detailed, you do the shadow of the hair is a little bit weird. So I'm going back on the hair part. Adding more here. Here you can see the shadow of the hair. So the important thing is when you draw hair, you need to have the line a little more crunchy, clear, and the shadow looks more blurry. You can see the difference. So, and also the hair needs some contrast. So sometimes when you draw the hair, it's not only for the texture, also for the contrast. The contrast creates some volume relation. So to give it more clear. This part of the hair is sticking up, standing up situation. So, see here, this part is more contrasted because it has light part and the dark part together. And this part also has some light part, fluorescent, together more contrast. Right? This part is more blended together into the shadow. So you see the difference. Much more under the shadow, inside the shadow. So it's more blurry. It's not so clear. It's just not so clear. Now, if you see the real work, probably maybe the photo not so much. So yes, some lines could be more expressive. And you use the single line to work for the hair, but don't make it too much. Depends on the contrast level. Sometimes it could be anyways, it's okay, but don't too much contrast. Do this. I will do the ear again. So yeah, compare that one move up. This one also move up. So move up a little bit. Smooth and advance a little bit. This hairline needs to follow the feeling of the hair itself. Your topic, not hair drop. Perspective needs to really complete. So now this part is really blocked by my cell phone. Really hard for me to keep on. Edit this a little bit darker. When you do the shading, it's better to draw long hatching. Even inside and looks transparently. Everything is united inside of the shadow. So I probably will little detail work after the demonstration, but probably not this camera block my hand. So just a little bit rough. Okay, so if I do more detail, I will add these half tones. I can see this part I have half tones and then highlights. So I will do a little more half tones so that compare each other, and then we can find the more details, and the highlight part will more stick out later, but that takes more time. For the most part for the catching the shape under the perspective has been done. Okay, so I finished the demonstration now. And after I complete the work, I will post it on the space together with the sample.